On the morning of 6th of June 1944, the world held its breath. General Dwight Eisenhower stood awake in England, listening to rain hammer the windows. He carried the weight of millions of lives in his tired eyes and clenched jaw, knowing that history would judge what was about to unfold. Across the dark channel, the largest invasion force ever, assembled waited in cold, steel hulls and nervous silence, as orders were sealed. For the American soldiers packed into landing craft with heavy gear, many barely out of boyhood and far from home, this day would become the costliest of the war. Eisenhower carried a folded note in his pocket, prepared in case of disaster, accepting responsibility for the lives about to be lost. As dawn approached over Normandy, the sea churned violently under grey skies, waves smashing into boats and men alike, turning courage into something desperate. At Omaha Beach, American units would face cliffs and interlocking fire, machine guns and chaos, conditions far worse than planners had imagined. Young officers shouted orders through smoke and spray, medics ran toward gunfire without pause, and the sand darkened with blood. This was not victory yet, but survival defined by seconds and fear, measured in yards gained and bodies fallen, while history watched from afar. By nightfall, thousands of Americans would be dead or wounded across the shoreline. Families an ocean away would feel the echo, and the war would change forever. The cost of this single day would ripple through generations and nations, shaping memory and myth long after the guns fell silent. For now, the men on the beaches fought minute by minute under fire, unaware of how history would name their suffering, or how high the price would be. Their story begins here in rain and fire on a broken shore in France, as the 20th century held its breath. As the sun rose over Omaha Beach on 6 June 1944, American soldiers lay pinned to the sand, bullets tearing the air around them. Lieutenant John Spaulding felt time fracture, men screaming orders lost, water filling lungs, training dissolving into pure instinct. Naval gunfire thundered offshore, often missing hidden emplacements, while German fire remained precise, merciless and constant. Small units formed by chance and survival, junior officers leading strangers, decisions made in seconds, courage replacing doctrine. At Wierville, rangers and infantry climbed under fire, using bayonets, grenades and sheer will against impossible odds. Medics moved forward without weapons, marked with red crosses, knowing they were targets, yet refusing to stop. By mid-morning, the beach was clogged with wreckage. Radios failed, commanders fell, but momentum slowly shifted inland. General Omar Bradley watched from offshore, considering evacuation under mounting losses, haunted by responsibility, weighing the unthinkable. Breakthroughs came in fragments and smoke. Bunker silenced here, a path cut there, each gain paid in lives. By afternoon, Americans held narrow footholds, fragile yet unbroken, sustained by shared purpose and stubborn resolve. On other beaches like Utah, landings proved less deadly, reminding commanders of chance, geography, and fate. Yet Omaha defined the day, carving trauma into survivors, shaping memory, and foreshadowing sacrifices ahead. By nightfall on 6th June 1944, the beach fell eerily quiet, broken only by waves and wounded calling softly. American soldiers dug shallow foxholes into unfamiliar earth, exhaustion setting in, fear never leaving their hands. The cost of Omaha became clearer as numbers filtered upward. Thousands killed, wounded or missing, units shattered beyond recognition. Captain Joseph Dawson walked the darkened shoreline, counting survivors by flashlight, knowing many would never answer roll call again. Above the bluffs, German resistance faltered, yet sniper fire continued, turning every step inland into a gamble with death. Engineers cleared mines with trembling precision, while stretcher bearers moved through fields of bodies, names fading quietly into silence. Offshore hospital ships filled rapidly. Surgeons worked without pause, blood-slicking decks under dim red lights. Back in England, commanders recalculated timelines. Reinforcements prepared, the invasion held together by courage alone. News reached Washington slowly, filtered and restrained. Families remained unaware of what had already been lost. The soldiers on the ground understood. The war would not end quickly, and this beach was only the beginning. Omaha's dead would become a symbol, not yet of victory, but of sacrifice demanded by history. As dawn approached on 7th June 1944, surviving Americans prepared to move forward, carrying grief with their rifles. The costliest day had passed, but its shadow stretched long across Europe and time itself. On the morning of 7th June 1944, the American advance pushed inland through hedgerows, thick and unfamiliar. The bocage became a green prison, walls of earth and roots blocking vision, hiding enemies only yards away. Private First Class Raymond Bowman moved cautiously with his squad, every rustle signaling death, nerves stretched beyond endurance. German defenders regrouped in small pockets, fighting with discipline and desperation, knowing that retreat meant collapse. American units learned fast or died faster, adapting tactics under fire. Innovation born from fear and loss. Tank crews struggled through narrow lanes, infantry clung close. Grenades and rifles clearing one hedgerow at a time. The casualties continued steadily, not in waves, but in relentless increments, each name etched quietly into unit memory. Commanders realized Normandy would not be a swift breakthrough, but a grinding campaign measured in blood and weeks. Supply lines strained under pressure, ammunition ran low. Wounded piled up faster than evacuation could manage. Yet every captured village revealed civilians hiding in ruins. Faces hollow, gratitude mixed with shock. Normandy became a furnace, burning youth into veterans and veterans into memory. What began as a single terrible day now unfolded into a campaign of attrition, testing endurance beyond imagination. The American soldiers pressed on regardless, carrying the weight of the fallen forward step by step. By mid-June, on 12th June 1944, the American army had settled into a brutal routine. Advance, pause, bleed, repeat. The hedgerows swallowed sound and distance, turning every field into a killing ground, progress measured in yards. Sergeant Harrison Summers watched replacements arrive daily, faces clean and hopeful, many gone within hours. Artillery thundered constantly, shells tearing earth and men apart. The landscape reshaped into scars and smoke. German counterattacks struck at night, probing weak points, testing exhausted lines already stretched thin. Sleep became a memory. Soldiers dozed in mud and fear, waking to flares and sudden gunfire. Medics spoke less now, hands moving automatically. Triage replacing mercy under relentless pressure. Commanders argued over maps, arrows inching forward slowly, knowing Washington expected momentum and results. The cost mounted quietly each day, not with headlines, but with telegrams, folded flags, unanswered letters. Private Thomas Reed wrote home from a cellar near St. Lo, describing rain and noise omitting the dead. Morale bent, but did not break, sustained by brotherhood, anger, and the belief that this suffering mattered. Every day revealed the true nature of war, not glory, but endurance, not triumph, but survival. Normandy had shown its teeth, and the men learned that what followed Omaha was not relief, but the grim realization that the costliest day had opened the door to many more. On 25 July 1944, American guns erupted near St. Lo, signaling Operation Cobra. General Omar Bradley authorized overwhelming air power, hoping to shatter the hedgerows and break the stalemate. Hundreds of bombers darkened the sky, dropping destruction that sometimes fell short of targets, killing Americans by mistake. Infantry watched explosions roll backward, shockwaves lifting bodies, trust in command severely tested. Yet despite the chaos, the line moved. German defenses cracked under pressure, and momentum finally shifted. Tanks surged through gaps in smoke, fast columns outrunning maps, speed replacing attrition. For survivors of Omaha, this advance felt unreal. Victory edged with guilt, memories never fading. The costliest day lingered in minds, shaping every order and pause, caution born from blood. As France opened westward, American losses climbed anew, though hope grew stronger, tempered by grief. Operation Cobra had broken the stalemate, proving sacrifice could unlock movement, but never erase the cost. By late July, the war accelerated, drawing the army toward Paris and a wider reckoning. Yet every mile forward carried echoes from Normandy's beaches, reminding soldiers what victory demanded. In early August, on 3 August 1944, American columns raced across France, roads choked with dust and wreckage. The rapid advance masked exhaustion. Engines overheated, men marched hollow-eyed, driven by momentum and memory. German forces collapsed unevenly, pockets resisted fiercely, ambushes flaring without warning along rural roads. Staff Sergeant William Klein led his squad through a burning village, recalling Omaha, instinct guiding every move. Supply lines strained again, fuel and ammunition lagged, victory slowed by logistics rather than bullets. The dead from Normandy were never far, names resurfacing in quiet moments, laughter cut short. Civilians flooded roads, cheering, offering wine and bread, unaware of the scars beneath American helmets. Commanders faced new choices: push hard or consolidate. Gamble speed against vulnerability. The war suddenly seemed winnable, yet costly days continued, casualties rising even as territory fell. For those who survived the beaches, survival felt borrowed. Courage mixed with survivors' guilt. France opened like a door forced wide, hinges broken by sacrifice made months before. The costliest day had become the foundation for everything that followed. By late summer on 20 August 1944, the American army approached the Seine, momentum still fierce. German resistance stiffened, desperation sharpening defense, retreat turning into scattered stands. Major Charles Whittaker studied maps under dim lights, haunted by Normandy, cautious with every advance order. Air support roared overhead daily, bombs clearing paths, sometimes striking friend and foe alike. The memory of Omaha tempered celebration. No victory felt clean, no ground felt secure. Replacements arrived hardened faster now. Fear learned quickly, innocence gone within days. Medical stations overflowed once more, wounds different but lost familiar, war's rhythm unbroken. Paris loomed ahead, symbolic and strategic, a prize weighted with history and expectation. As liberation neared, pressure from the Allies mounted, the world watching, demanding speed and success. Yet commanders slowed, unwilling to repeat early mistakes. Haunted by a single terrible day, the costliest day had taught restraint, patience, forged by catastrophe and blood. Even as hope rose, the war reminded them survival was never guaranteed. In the autumn of September 1944, American units pushed toward Germany, confidence mixed with fatigue. The memory of Normandy remained vivid. Omaha was spoken of quietly, a warning carried forward. Private Harold Mills crossed the German border, gripping his rifle, thinking of friends lost on the beaches. Enemy resistance hardened, forests replacing hedgerows, ambushes sudden and unforgiving. Command decisions grew heavier. Every offensive weighed against casualty lists already too long. Hospital trains moved endlessly west, echoing the early days after D-Day. The costliest day-shaped doctrine now, caution blended with aggression. Experience paid in blood. As winter approached, supply shortages returned, cold biting harder than fear. The war demanded one final effort, victory close. Yet distant men stretched beyond limit. Normandy felt far away geographically, but emotionally ever present, etched into muscle memory. Each fallen soldier added to the ledger opened in June, pages still turning. The end approached slowly, shaped by lessons written on Omaha's sand. On 8 May 1945, the war in Europe ended, quietly for many who survived its longest days. American soldiers heard the news in forests and camps, relief mixing with numb silence. For veterans of Omaha Beach, victory carried weight. Faces of the fallen rising unbidden. Lieutenant Raymond Bowman stood apart, remembering June, rain, fire, and blood the costliest day. The world celebrated liberation. Parades rolled through cities, flags waving in gratitude. Yet for those who fought, memory lingered. Victory measured not in triumph, but in survival. The costliest day had set the tone, sacrifice demanded before success could arrive. Cemeteries across Normandy filled with white crosses, each marking a life traded for freedom. Families learned names etched in stone, grief settling alongside pride. History would record numbers and dates, but never fully capture fear and courage. The men who landed at Omaha changed the course of the century through endurance alone. Their legacy remains not in conquest, but in cost, paid in full on a single terrible day.